It was a gray autumn evening when Emily Parker pulled her old minivan into the parking lot of a small roadside motel off the interstate in Kansas. She was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. Life had been throwing challenge after challenge at her, and as a single mother of two children, her 17-year-old son Michael and her 12-year-old daughter Sarah, she felt the heavy weight of the world pressing against her chest. That night, as the three of them stepped into the faded, dimly lit motel room, Emily tried her best to keep a brave face, though her heart trembled with fear and fatigue. The past few months had been brutal. Emily had recently lost her job at a local diner when it shut down unexpectedly. With bills piling up and no close relatives to lean on, she found herself scrambling for any sort of stability. The apartment they had been renting was gone because she couldn't keep up with rent, and that's how the Parker family found themselves on the road, drifting from one cheap motel to another, trying to hold on to hope while searching for a new beginning. Inside the room, the motel smelled faintly of cigarette smoke and cleaning solution, but to Sarah, it still felt safer than the streets outside. Michael placed their single suitcase in the corner and slumped onto the edge of the bed, looking defeated. Emily sat down beside him, brushing his messy hair back with a gentle hand. "We'll figure this out," she whispered. Sarah, ever curious and hopeful, asked, "Mom, how long do we have to stay here? Just tonight, right?" Emily looked at her daughter and smiled softly, though her eyes betrayed the worry she carried. "Just tonight, sweetheart. Tomorrow, I'll check in at a few more places for work and we'll figure something out." That night, as they settled in, Emily realized they had only one bed for the three of them. She laughed softly, trying to lighten the mood. "All right, here's the deal. If we're sharing this bed, we have to take turns getting the good spot by the wall. Tonight Sarah gets it, tomorrow it'll be Michael, and then me the night after. Only fair if we take turns." Sarah giggled and quickly claimed her spot near the wall, while Michael rolled his eyes but smiled faintly. The joke worked. That simple phrase, "only if you take turns," wasn't just about the bed. It became the rhythm of how they survived that period, taking turns to carry the heaviest burdens, supporting one another, and finding light in the darkness. Lying in that small, creaky motel bed, Emily stared at the stained ceiling and listened to her children's breathing. She remembered when life was different, when they had a real home, when her husband, before he walked out years ago, used to tuck the kids in with silly bedtime stories. She had promised herself then that she would be strong for them, no matter what. But nights like this tested her resolve. Still, she whispered a silent prayer of gratitude for the simple fact that her children were with her, safe for another night. The next morning, Emily woke up early. She left Michael in charge of Sarah and went to the gas station across the street to grab some muffins and orange juice. When she returned, Michael was pacing the room, clearly restless. "Mom, I can't just sit here. I need to do something. Maybe I can get a part-time job. I'm almost 18. I could help." Emily's heart ached at his words. He was still just a boy, but circumstances had forced him to grow up too quickly. She put a hand on his shoulder. "Michael, your job is to finish school. I know you want to help, and I'm proud of you for wanting to, but I need you to focus on your future. I'll figure out the rest." Sarah piped up from the bed, her small voice carrying more wisdom than her years. "Mom, maybe we should just stay together no matter what. Even if it's in motels forever. As long as we take turns being strong, we'll be okay." Emily smiled through her tears. She realized her children were watching her every move, learning from her resilience, and drawing courage from her love. Over the next few weeks, the motel became their temporary home. Emily found work cleaning rooms at a larger hotel down the road. The pay wasn't much, but it was steady, and it gave her hope. Every evening, she would return to the motel room exhausted but greeted with hugs from Sarah and a simple, "Welcome back, Mom," from Michael. They ate instant noodles, sandwiches, or whatever Emily could put together with limited means. They didn't have much, but they had each other, and that was enough to keep them going. One night, as the three of them sat on the bed sharing a small box of takeout fried chicken, Michael suddenly said, "Mom, I know this isn't where you imagined we'd be, but I think I'm learning more from this than I ever did at school. I'm learning how important family is." I'm learning what real strength looks like.
It's you, Mom.
You're the strongest person I know. Emily's throat tightened, tears welling up. Oh, Michael. I'm not always strong. Some nights I cry when you're asleep. Some days I want to give up. But I look at you and Sarah, and I know I can't. You two give me strength I didn't know I had. Sarah, licking her fingers from the fried chicken, added, well, I think we should always take turns. Like, when Mom is sad, Michael and I can take turns cheering her up. When Michael feels hopeless, Mom and I can take turns reminding him how smart he is. And when I feel scared, you both can take turns holding me until I'm not scared anymore. The room grew quiet, the weight of her words settling on all of them. Emily reached out and pulled both her children close, her arms wrapping around them. Then that's what we'll do, she whispered. We'll take turns holding each other up until we make it through this. As the weeks turned into months, Emily saved every dollar she could. Slowly, she built enough to move them into a small rental house on the edge of town. It wasn't perfect, but it had 2 bedrooms, a tiny kitchen, and a porch where Emily could sit with her coffee in the mornings. The day they moved in, Sarah twirled in the empty living room, declaring, "It's not a palace, but it's ours." Michael laughed, and for the first time in a long while, his laugh was carefree. Looking back, Emily often thought about those nights in the motel. What had seemed like their lowest point had actually been the crucible that forged their bond stronger than ever. It was in those cramped quarters, eating simple meals and sleeping shoulder to shoulder, that they learned what true courage was. Not the absence of fear or struggle, but the choice to face it together, taking turns to be strong for one another. Years later, when Michael graduated college, he gave a speech where he mentioned those days. Standing at the podium, he said, "When I think about courage, I think about my mom and my sister. We didn't have much, but we had each other. My mom used to say, 'Only if you take turns.' And that's how we made it, taking turns carrying the weight, taking turns being the light in the dark. That's what family is all about." Emily cried openly that day, not out of sadness, but out of deep gratitude. The motel, the struggles, the tears, they were all part of their story of survival, of love, and of courage. And in the end, it wasn't the place that mattered. It was the people. It was the 3 of them, bound together by a promise they had kept, to take turns being strong until the storm passed.